B1 family, welcome to Black Logic. Good afternoon. So today, family, I really want to make this video, and hopefully YouTube doesn't strike it. A lot of times when you make controversial videos, YouTube like to restrict it for a certain viewership. So they really censor a lot of commentary that a lot of influencers and creators and people of the new black media are making, so you don't have a certain perspective and mindset to go about the way you think about things. But I wanted to bring this particular subject to the table because I believe that is imperative to have. And I think a lot of people from a religious standpoint and an emotional standpoint was actually thinking about this. They were thinking about, if I follow the Bible, if I'm trying to be Christ-like, and in his word, he stated that, should I go there, family? But basically that the male is the head of the household and that your household is a kingdom. So when you modernize those terms and that language, and I was paraphrasing, that should a woman ever become the president of these United States? Is America ready for a woman president, or does this go against the grain of a country that mainly claim it's founded on Christian principles? Excuse me. That's the question I have. Because if a country is founded on the foundation of Christianity, then how can you have a female leader that leads everyone? I mean, according to the Bible, again, I'm paraphrasing, that the male is the head of the household, that he leads the woman. And maybe someone read something different. I mean, that's essentially what I read, because I think we need to break it down. But before that, and I can never really give a comparison between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. The only comparison, you can compare the two. We already know there's stark differences there, and not just in gender, but some of the things that Donald Trump says versus some of the things that Kamala Harris says and does as well. So with that being said, I would think that, in my opinion, this is what I've done, compared Kamala Harris against all the other presidents in the limelight in the public. And maybe a lot of people didn't want to do it that way, but essentially that's kind of where I went about this. And I started to think, Kamala Harris, how is she in the wild? How is she in the wild? And I think that's important.
Oh, we have microphones and I was listening to everything. I didn't realize that. Okay. So, well,
You'll
now you
bleep
tell
my
us.
F words.
We just told all the family secrets.
What are you having, Madam Vice President?
I'm having what she's having.
It's an Oberon, and it's made right here in Kalamazoo, which many are calling Kamalazoo.
Okay, cheers.
Words
We
I
just told all the family secrets. That's the nature of who we are as Americans.
Say the line, Bart.
We can see what is possible unburdened by what has been. That's the nature of who we are as Americans.
Say the line, Bart.
We can see what is possible unburdened by what has been. That's
Yeah, so family, we have to not forget who Kamala is, because this is who she is today. And the question is she ready to lead? Was she ready to lead up until the time of her untimely demise when it comes to winning the presidency? And I guess a lot of times when a lot of women have been online, just acting a straight fool. Let's be real, family. They've been acting a straight fool. There's many ways to state your opinion about the results of the debate. You have that freedom, and you have that freedom to make yourself look like a fool, but it doesn't change anything. And the question was, some of the same people you call friends, family, you expect them to vote as though you have, and if they didn't vote the way you voted, then they don't care about you. Why? See, they want everybody to get out and vote. Have you noticed that Republicans really don't spend time campaigning about getting out and vote? They just allow the Democrats to do that. And every year, the Democrats spends hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get people out to vote because they want you guys to vote for them every single time. That's idiotic. I've never seen someone align with everyone's policies, ideals, thoughts. Two friends who've been friends forever still have differences. So how does a Democrat believe that Black Americans are always going to vote for Democrat, that one day we won't come out of our slumber? Like one day we won't recognize the game. Now, it takes some of us longer than others. Some have been doing this for quite some time now, but when do they think? And they would think that it would make Donald Trump such a volatile figure that we'll just be so scared, as they've done before, that we'll be so scared and vote for Kamala Harris. Now, again, let's address the elephant in the room, family, because we kind of went over this, and I want to make sure you guys understand. A lot of people have argued that a woman as president is anti-God, that a woman who becomes president is anti-God. And this is only going for the Christian nations. And that rhetoric or that mindset or that spirituality in a nation where many people believe its morals and laws should reflect Christian values. Don't forget, a lot of American law, I go back even further. Don't forget, America is just the stepchild of Great Britain. Don't forget that America, a lot of its structure and government is from the Roman principles of government. Okay? These guys didn't come over here as these so-called European peasants, take over a whole country from Native Americans. They came over here with all sorts of weaponry. And don't forget, for quite a bit of time, Great Britain ruled the world. That's why you see a lot of these Caribbean nations just gaining their independence from Great Britain. We were colonies of Great Britain, thus the 13 colonies. And why do you think a lot of the names like New York, New Hampshire, New Jersey, all of those are European, majority of the names. So when we look at it from that standpoint, all of those countries that came over and conquered America, Great Britain in particular, are founded on Christianity. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, you know, the UK had a woman prime minister, and you'll be right. And so have other white countries, but not America. Now, we understand that America has become and becoming even more diverse than ever before. But when you look at the other major groups in America, Black, Hispanic, and Asian, and even Middle Eastern, all of these people, all of our groups are very traditional. They're very traditional. A lot of them see the man as the head of the household and that the woman follows his lead and the children thereafter. Yeah. Asian countries, when I was stationed in Japan, I remember in Japan, and I don't know if that still goes on today, but the woman had to walk behind her husband, behind her man. I believe it was like 2 steps into the right or 2 steps into the left, something like that. But she couldn't even walk beside her man. And of course, America is a very different country, very liberal. Very liberal. So we have certain rights, and that we made a lot of things equal for women. But I want you guys to think about this right here. they cite scriptures like 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12, which some may interpret as prohibiting women from having authority over men. But this is an outdated perspective that misinterprets religious texts to justify what some people believe the patriarchal control, that the patriarch controls everything. Now, the reason why I said it sounds outdated, because that should have struck a nerve in a true Christian, someone who is actively reading their Bible and praying and worshiping. Now, a lot of people to say, I'm Christian, but they don't practice nothing in Christianity. They have no religious, okay? And some people have now replaced the word religious as spiritual foundation to Christianity. They just say, I'm Christian because their mother was Christian, their father was Christian, so on and so forth. Many generations down the line, everybody was Christian. So they're Christian, but they don't go to church. They don't read the Bible or their word, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what denomination it is, New Living Translation, King James, New King James Version. I don't know. What's the other one? I forgot. They have so many versions of the Bible. But nonetheless, some people are just Christian to be Christian. So all of those people you saw online just going totally crazy, totally like outside of their mind, ask them if they're Christian. And do they read and worship their word? And go and research it for yourself. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. And I know there's going to be critics who are going to claim that women are too emotional to be effective leaders. And here's the thing. You have many examples. You have your mother. You have your aunt. You have your daughter. You have your sister. You have your girlfriend. You have your wife. You have your friends who are females. Because this is the narrative. This is the perspective that all of these men, black men, white men, Hispanic men especially, they wasn't expecting majority of Hispanics with around 6% to vote for Donald Trump. They're like, he's going to eradicate and mass deport all of your relatives. And a lot of the Hispanic people like, I'm Hispanic American. My family been here like 100 years. So you're talking about the ones who are coming through the country illegally. They wasn't expecting that. Then even though 80% of black males voted for Kamala Harris, black males still got shunned. Now you see majority of women. There's some men and there's people from the certain community, but there are some men who came out and cried, and a lot of them were kind of moist. They had a little bit of rainbow or taste thereof, the taste of the rainbow thereof. But nonetheless, it was a majority women that came out, even though 80% of black men that voted for Kamala Harris. I guess they hate the other 20. But the question is, can women be effective leaders if the perception of men, the way that men think about women, we say the same things over and over again? We say women are very emotional. And it's not because you are sexist. It's not because you believe that men are better leaders. Some men are just telling the truth. Some men are only giving women their personal experiences. They saw their mom lash out and not think before she lashed out or said or did something. Their significant other versus a male in that same situation. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of male hypocrites. Males can be very emotional, and when they are emotional, there's either a fight or a war. And that's some of the counter arguments that women are making. But we're talking about in decision making. I want everyone to picture, if you're a male, and females, if you're true to yourself, you might understand where I'm going at with this. Picture a difficult situation with you and your girlfriend when you and your wife. I'm not going to give you the situation because I know a lot of you may have some memories where she was wrong. She made a wrong purchase. She made a bad decision without consulting you, even though she said she would. And you said, why would you do that? You get very upset. You get very upset. And instead of saying, I'm sorry, she triples and double downs why she's right. And I'm not stating that all women are like this, okay? My disclaimer, I'm not stating that. But I want men to try to remember some of these situations where she knew she was wrong, but she tried to say things in a manner in which it was either justified or it was right. And now that you're confronting her on it, you're the bad guy. You're the one that now is in the doghouse, and then eventually you have to go out and start apologizing. You have to go on this apologize tour every day because you pointed out a mistake. You pointed out something bad that she was supposed to come and talk to you about, or she should have come to you and talk to you about it. I mean, there's many variations in that. But now you feel like the person who made the mistake or did the crime or the one who's at fault. And I think those difficult situations like that, a lot of people are really not thinking when they're talking about women leaders. What if it's something that someone said to Kamala Harris as she's the president of the United States that she felt as though that it was a personal attack or it didn't feel right or that she didn't like? And it's not talking to her mental prowess, her mental stability, her emotional intelligence. I'm not talking about that. But what are people going to think because she's a female? And as the president, making emotional decision-making might compromise very critical national security or economic decisions. She may just make rash decisions. Because a lot of people believe that the Democratic Party, aka liberals, are warmongers. Like they just love to be in war. And some people can pitch that as a female president with their emotions. But I think that we can consider emotion because often misconducted as a weakness, sometimes emotions can be a profound strength. Empathy can actually lead to stronger alliances with other nations. Again, I want to give the very compare and contrast of the two because I don't think we really looked at it like that from a non-spiritual or non-Christianity standpoint. And I think that's important, very, very important to have. Because think about men in raising their sons. A lot of men, we're beginning to show love because we're learning a lot of things from women as far as nurturing, but just hugs, kissing your son on the cheek, asking him how his day has been. Think about traditional men. Traditional men, our fathers and grandfathers and et cetera, they was just worried about food being on the table. They was just worried about things being provided for. They were just worried about creating a legacy. So a lot of our fathers and a lot of their fathers didn't receive the love and caring from a man from a non-sexual standpoint. That's something to consider as well. And now if you have those tools, you can break through your son, man to man, and actually have those tough conversations that he probably is just having with his mom and don't feel comfortable to you because we always walk around with a hardened shell as an exterior. And someone who as impressionable as your teenage or younger than son may find that very off-putting to a point they don't want to even approach it. But I think we should flip the script a little bit. Let's go here with this, family, because there have been women presidents before. There's been women presidents before. So this is the first female president of Iceland. And I'm not going to say their names, family. All of these, for the exception of one, is a black female president, okay? I'm just going to read information here. She served from 1980 to 1996, so 16 years as president. She was the first woman in the world to be elected head of state in a national election. And of course, she was born into a wealthy family and she was well connected. You guys might have heard of her, Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of the UK. Now, when when I look at Margaret Thatcher, and not disrespecting their prime minister at the time, she kind of reminds me of the term Mary Poppins for whatever reason. Maybe it's the hair. I don't know. It's a European thing. It's a European thing. It states here that British Conservative Party politician and prime minister, 1979 and 90, Europe's first woman prime minister, the only British prime minister in the 20th century to win 3 consecutive terms at a time of her resignation. The most renowned British political leader since Winston Churchill, and that's saying a lot there, okay? So she probably was a remarkable person where she won 3 terms. A lot of people credit her from keeping Britain out of a Great Depression. Mary Robinson, President of Ireland. President Robinson here. But anyway, Mary Robinson is an Irish lawyer, politician, and diplomat who served as the first woman president of Ireland. She later was United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. Robinson was educated at Trinity College and King's in Dublin and at Harvard University. Michelle Bachelet, okay, president of Chile, the first popular elected South American female president whose political career was established independent of her husband. And she's also was Chile's first woman defense minister. So in line of defense for the country. And here's the first female black president of Libya, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And when I saw her name, it made me think about the couple thousands of foundational black Americans that left America and went to Liberia, okay? Was it? No. It wasn't Liberia, it was Libya. Disregard what I said. I got my countries mixed up. But nonetheless, it states here that Ellen, president of Liberia, she was the first woman to be elected head of state of an African country. The first woman, and think about all of the countries in Africa, over 52, 53 of them, okay, 54 maybe, but definitely over 50. In 2011, she won the Nobel Peace Prize for the efforts to further women's rights. Okay, and she's a mix of Gola and German heritage. Her father was the first indigenous Liberian to sit in the national legislature, okay? And that is the first black woman president of Africa. In Africa, in an African country by the way of Liberia, okay? Let's see here. And I looked up her husband, because when I was thinking about Foundation of Black Americans, and I was thinking about her husband, and I popped this guy up, and family, if he looks like a Foundation of Black American, just give me a thumbs up in the chat or something. Just give me a thumbs up, and tell me if this gentleman here doesn't look like a foundational black American. I mean, he looks probably like one of you guys' uncle. And I know someone in the chat be like, man, I know this guy. Moving right along. Dilemma Rousseff. I'm just gonna call her Rousseff. She's Brazilian, or she's not actually Brazilian. We'll cover that later. I believe she's Bulgarian, or her father was Bulgarian, but we'll cover it. Okay, we'll go Delma. We'll just call her Delma. Is a Brazilian politician who in 2011 became Brazil's first female president. She was elected in 2014, but she was impeached and removed from office in 2016. She was raised in an upper middle class household. Her father was a lawyer who immigrated to Brazil from Bulgaria. It's stated by a prominent Brazilian corporation in return for contracts with Petrobras. Yeah, okay, and that's her. And then last but not least, I'm just gonna call her Win because I don't want to butcher her name. She was an educator and politician who was the first female president of Taiwan, 2016 to 2024. One of 9 children born into a wealthy business family. She received a law degree from National Taiwan University in Taipei, and then attended Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and the London School of Economics, earning her master's and doctorate degrees in law, okay? So the reason why I wanted to point out all of those women that essentially became presidents of their country in comparison with Kamala Harris. And I don't know if you guys ever did any research on these women presidents. I would just say they're different. That's all I'll say. I'll leave the rhetoric for alone. Okay. So I think I want to go back, and I want to let you guys in on something when it comes to these presidents. So let me go back here. Let me go. Wasn't her? Which? Let's go back and talk about Delma. Now, when she was in office, she faced significant scrutiny during her presidency because she was impeached in 2016, as I went over before. And it wasn't for personal corruption, but it was for allegedly manipulating the budget to hide the nation's growing economic problems during her re-election campaign. And that's why they removed her from office, because she was basically hiding things. So, but she was corrupt. The government that she was running was corrupt, but it was nothing in her personal life, if that makes any sense to you guys, because it wasn't like corruption. She was funneling money into her personal bank accounts, nothing like that. She was just hiding a lot of things when it came to the budget for Brazil and how bad Brazil was doing economically. So she hid those things. Where's the president of? Let's go back down here some. I'm looking for that president. Give me 1 second. That's right, Michelle Bachelet. That's her name. She was also not convicted of corruption, but, and this will kind of remind you of Joe Biden, her son was involved in real estate scandals that really tainted her second term in office, which now, as you see the contrast in Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and how his, alleged drug use and incarceration has really put a dark light on Joe Biden, even before they were saying he was too elderly to run again. Because at first they were like, oh, he's fine, he's in great shape, he's of sound mind. They were saying all these things. Okay? And then, believe it or not, the first black woman president of Liberia in Africa, she was criticized, and this makes a lot of sense. She was criticized for nepotism. And that came about appointing some of her sons to significant positions in government. Nepotism. Just like LeBron got Bronny James. LeBron James got Bronny James on the Lakers with a contract. Oof, Lord. And I'm not mad at it. Nepotism. So she appointed her sons to the cabinet of Liberia. And again, she wasn't personally charged with corruption. But when you looked at her leadership, it faced a lot of criticism. It faced a lot of criticism when you hire your family, because it looks like a start of a dictatorship. You can't just be going out hiring your family for all the high positions in office. Oh, well, my son is the chief of state and I'm the president and my wife is the VP. Like, your whole family. So she went out and appointed her whole family. So some of the things I just wanted to cover with you guys today when it comes to being under the leadership of a female president, and how a lot of people may look at that sacrilegious. And then some people, because now we see how a lot of churches, a lot of places that people worship, is now accepting people from a certain community, and that God will save them just as much as someone who's abiding by his laws and his commandments. I think that's anti-word. I don't know if I'm using that correctly, but I want you guys to think about that, because again, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. I think we should look that up. You know what? I got a couple more minutes. Let's look up that scripture. Instead of me just, I want to make sure that you guys read this. And I know a lot of times to get more context, you have to read a lot of verses before. And this is coming from Bible Gateway. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. And I think one of the disciples, was it in the New Testament? Let's see, Luke, John, Matthew. One of them stated, was it Luke? That women in the church should be quiet. Because they believe that it, and I'm going to read a couple of, let's go into the chapter. I didn't come here to give you guys a church lesson, but again, if we're basing our decisions, either you like Kamala or you didn't like Kamala, and family, you know where I stand, I'm on black empowerment. So it didn't matter the candidates. But if all these people are claiming that this is a Christian country, I'm Christian, I'm an evangelical, I'm all these things, and I follow my faith, I follow the word. I've heard people say all these things. I've heard people say all of these things. And this is what the word says. I'm going from verse 8. I'm going for verse 8. Okay? And I'm going to see if I can blow this up for you guys. There you go. Therefore, I want the men everywhere to pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or disputing. I also want the women to dress modestly. I want the women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, adorning themselves, not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds, appropriate for women who profess to worship to God. A woman shall learn in quietness and full submission. Where the Christians at? Well, the way we look at the Bible today, Brother Black Logic, we have to modernize the Bible. We got to revamp the Bible. We got to rewrite the Bible. Oh, so the Bible isn't the profound, impeccable word of your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but now we have to kind of dive behind and reach behind and alter and change the word. What are we doing? I thought this was a Christian nature. I thought you was a Christian. But it's right, okay, but it's right for 80% and 91% female, black females, 80% black males to vote for Kamala Harris, but we Christian. But we're trying to modernize the word, just like we let a certain community be accepted by the church, but is it really accepted by the word of God? I'm just asking the question. I'm not preaching to you. I'm just asking questions. Let me read on. It says, a woman shall learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. Whoa. I don't think no one is reading Timothy at all. Don't have none of your female friends, women, don't go and read this. Don't go and read this. Women don't want to read this. And I'm not saying this is the right way to go. I'm just bringing up a point. Then we talk about a woman's emotional. I always see women, and this is not anti-women, family. Don't think that wrong. I'm just raising the questions to you guys because I just showed you great examples. I showed you guys great examples of women presidents. Now, some of them had a couple of things going on, but who is without shame? No, there's no one without shame. There's no one without sin, but it doesn't matter. But I showed you some great women presidents over here. Margaret Thatcher, yeah. Even this woman here, she probably, yeah. But then you hear women, right? They're always talking about what? Emotional intelligence, that men do not have emotional intelligence. Now, in my opinion, excuse me, it says here, and I'm gonna blow this up. I thought I was going to get me a grab, but I just blow this up for you guys. Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage both your own emotions and understand the emotions of people around you. There are 5 key elements, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, I don't know if, I know my wife knows this, so I know that other women know this as well, that men, quote unquote, good men, we have good head on our shoulders. That's why we don't make rash decisions. That's emotional intelligence. Because it could be you and a couple of buddies, you guys are having a very heated conversation. The emotional intelligence part is not punching that dude in his face. You get what I'm trying to say? Emotional intelligence for men is, in our community, it's about respect. And there's a certain level of respect that need to be had. Yeah, there's some wiggle room. You can be insulted, but men will go fisticuffs when disrespected. Now, and I think another higher form of intelligence is understand someone is disrespecting you and not letting it affect you. This is not only logical, but this is also emotional for men. Because when men are emotional, somebody's getting hit. When men are emotional, someone or some people are getting hurt, if you get my drift. And that's where now people now understand that a lot of men have emotional intelligence. And if they don't have emotional intelligence, guess where they are? They're in jail, they're in prison, and they're dead. Because if men didn't have emotional intelligence, every single thing that we go through with other men would have been getting cut off in traffic, bumped, said something wrong to. It would be total chaos and anarchy in the United States of America if men didn't have emotional intelligence and use logic and reason to solve issues and problems and conflicts. That's all I'm saying. So I'm tired of the narrative and pushing some agendas that men don't have emotional intelligence. Yes, my son did something that I will give him a spanking for, but I didn't. I reserved my emotions, thought about it logically, like, you know what? We're going to do this. But no one equates men with emotional intelligence. I beg to differ. All right, family, I'm going to read some of your notes over here. Haven't been ignoring you guys. Shout out goes out to Volvo. Thank you for becoming a subscriber and a faithful member. I do appreciate your participation. Troy Body, if you're going by Christians, then it was the Christians that allowed slavery, indeed. And a lot of other groups. I mean, again, slavery was a worldwide economic powerhouse. It made everybody who was related or who was connected or doing business, slavery made so many people rich. Don't forget a lot of the insurance companies that insure you guys, whether it be for your house, your car, personal items. A lot of those insurance companies were the same insurance company that was insuring slaves to their masters. Meaning that if you ran away or you got hurt, they had insurance on you, just as though if your car got into an accident or you got hail damage on your house. Same difference. So there's a lot of industries that that benefited from slavery, believe me. Shout out go to my great moderator, Jermaine Anderson. Thank you, brother. I do appreciate it. Troy says, Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy, so that Christianity ain't the one in the Bible. Also, they have Queen Elizabeth and Margaret Thatcher. There was a lady in Israel and one in Germany. Okay, I don't know where that's going. He also stated that I'm not making sense, especially as a black dude. Oh, I'm not making sense because I'm black. What other color would I be? Could I be brown? Could I be yellow? Could I be white? Could I be red? I'm just naming other associated colors with race. I wonder if I wasn't black, would I be making sense? Now, if I was white, would I be making sense? If I was Asian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, would I be making sense? Let's see here. What else? What scripture in Timothy is that again? Oh, let me pop it up for you, brother. Let me pop it up for you. Again, I am not responsible for the men who get slapped, kicked, and punched from a significant other or from a friend when you have them to read 1 Timothy verse 1 through, chapter 2, verse 1 through 15. Especially not 11 through 15. Can I read it one more time? A woman shall learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over man. So if Kamala Harris became president of the United States of America, she would definitely assume authority over a lot of men. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first and Eve, and Adam, was the Bible getting a little spicy here? And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman. It was the woman who was deceived. Not Adam. And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. So the first sinner on earth, which Timothy is saying, not Black Logic, Timothy is saying was a woman. But women will be saved through childbearing. Just have some kids. You'll be all right. Because they need something to do. They need something to take care of. Again, the Bible's not saying this. I'm just trying to interpret it for myself, and you guys are overhearing me. She should be saved through childbirth. She will create a legacy for a man. She will build a family. She will nurture a family. She will take care of our children. She will take care of the home. Oh, again, this is me. I'm not having you guys to interpret the way I am. This is the way I'm interpreted. But again, this is what the Bible says, and America's a Christian country, and this may be one of the reasons why Kamala Harris did not become president. I'm just trying to give you another perspective versus what everybody else is doing. But it says women will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith and in love and holiness with propriety. Because don't forget about the holiness that women should have, especially if they're a Christian. Again, a lot of Black Americans are Christians. A lot of Black Americans are Christians because 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9 states, I also want women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, adorning themselves, not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes. Buy me a Birkin. That women should not adorn themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship the God. We're the real Christians at today. But they told the 20% of Black people that include black men and Black women that what? Not voting for Kamala Harris was a vote against them and that you were trying to hurt them. This is the rhetoric that came out of a lot of people who've been broadcasting a lot of videos of what went on. But this is their perspective. And I'm not making this is not my mindset, family. This is the Bible that a lot of Christians read or should read. And then if you would have asked me about whether I'm a Christian or not, do I follow Christ or I read my word, let's say 5-6 years ago, and then about the people that surround me, do they read and worship? I would say yes and no, because one part of it with me was yes and part of them was no. Everybody is looking for someone who's Christian. I was looking at a couple of shows of Pop the Balloon. And a lot of the criteria for the men and women that they had to follow God, they were a Christian. But family, do a lot of Christians follow the word? Men and women alike. So I don't know why everybody is looking for a Christian when no one is being Christian-like. Everybody's looking for a Christian, but I tell you right now, if you were to say these things, I can't. They won't even let me highlight it. There it is. I messed up. Say this to them. Okay, here we go again. They're gonna try to make me say this to them, so they understand where you're coming from. And when it comes to the emotional standpoint, again, is it a lot of men? And is there a lot of men and women? Because there's women who know that they are very emotional and that they make rash decisions when under stress and difficult times. And then there's women who do the same thing, but they don't think they do. So they think they're very level-headed, but even though they always act out. So from an emotional standpoint, I guess my question would be, the men who know and the women who know how women can respond to certain things should Kamala Harris been a president? And do majority of those people reside in the 20% of black people that did not vote for Kamala Harris? Could that be it? Could that be the 20% of black Americans that actually follow the word? Because again, majority of black Americans are Christian. Or people are just saying they're Christian. They really don't read and study the Bible. They don't pray really. They may pray over their food. God made dirt don't hurt. Or food blessed. There we go. And don't forget a lot of men seeing people who are very emotional as a weakness. And not only that, a lot of men believe, especially other men, if they are emotional, not only is that a weakness, but that is a liability. I can't have you making world decisions and your cat just died. And I know some of you, that can affect anybody. I'm just saying. And again, family, I don't know the answers to that because, again, I pointed out all of these women here who became, presidents of their country. And majority of these leaders here, they did a great job. But I just wanted to raise a question to you guys. Where I'm at, you know me, I don't know. I try to stay very neutral because, again, people are definitely not following that right there. Nope. Let's see what D-Score states. The Bible thumper solely ignored those scriptures, Brother Logic, along with Exodus 20:13, that says that thou should not unalive, which these progressive women and men are fighting tooth and nail against. Wow. Yeah, that's all I have for you, family. I thank you guys for joining me here late afternoon. And also, if you become a member, I just want to point this out to you guys. You don't have to, me. But I'm now starting to release material for the members. Right now, I don't have that many, but I have enough to start creating extra material and from a more personal standpoint. So today I released a video for the members of this channel about my psychology about how we go about voting. Very different, very personal, more so than you ever seen me before. So if you guys find value in that, check it out. If not, we'll stay here. No big deal. You guys have a great and wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Be one.